Hi friends, welcome to my live-ish from my garage. I did have some connection problems, so if you tuned in a little bit earlier and didn't see me, or did see me and it was going in and out, I decided that it was just, I was gonna fight with the internet all day if I continued, so I might as well pre-record the video and then I'm uploading it for you. So I hope I get it to you within the next, few minutes so that you can get on here and start making. Because I do enjoy coming to you guys live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right, so without further ado, today we are going to be making a little DIY toy. This is what it looks like. If you have ever played the game Kerplunk, it's a classic game, and the object is to basically, there's like a cylinder, and it's like a plastic cylinder with holes in it, and then it has a bunch of like skewer sticks that you push through it, and then you fill it with marbles, and then the object of the game is to remove all the sticks without causing all the marbles to fall, or some of them, or the fewest number of marbles to fall. So we sort of recreated this a few years back. It's been about 4 years since I did this post for PBS Parents. So it used to be on their website, but they've restructured things. So now it has not migrated to their new website. So I went ahead and I published the directions on my page for now. So will be in the description below. But this is a fun little game that you can make out of the ubiquitous cardboard tube. So I am excited to share this with you. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is how we're going to do this project. Basically, like I said, I explained Kerplunk to you if you haven't played it, and we're going to be doing something similar. We're going to be creating this kind of like game piece. Whoops, see, I just released some of the beads, and we're going to use a cardboard tube as our base, and we're going to use paper straws as the sticks, and marbles for the balls, or I'm sorry, beads for the marbles, because this is a little bit smaller than the original Kerplunk game. Marbles would be a little bit difficult because they're just too big for this. So if you have some type of small bead, this is actually a really good size. If it's too small, they'll kind of fall through too easily, but if they're too big, they won't fall through at all. So you kind of have to find something in the middle. If you don't have something like this, you could actually use something like beans, maybe like, I'm talking about dried beans, so you could probably use one of the bigger ones like garbanzo beans, something like that is about this size when it's dry, okay? And then, of course, when you're done with that, collect them back up, and you can still use them. You can still cook them as long as you go ahead and clean them off after. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this project. So the first thing we're going to do, and I created, like I said, you could see these two versions of it. One of them is covered in tape, duct tape, and one is just colored in with marker. I like the duct tape one because it's really easy to kind of throw together quickly, and sometimes markers don't tend to be super vibrant on cardboard, but it's totally fine whichever way you want to do it. If you don't have duct tape, no problem. Go ahead and do the version where you just color with markers. And you don't even have to color it at all, honestly. I like to do that because I always think games are sort of playful, and I mean, color adds another element to a lot of toys. So I personally try to make everything super colorful, but it's also totally fine if you just want to use it without any color at all, okay? All right, so if you are doing this with duct tape, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to cover this with duct tape. If you are decorating yours with markers, you can go ahead and start coloring in your tube. Now, we are going to trim off about 3/4 of an inch off the end. So if you're decorating this with markers, you may want to do that now, and you basically flatten your tube and then cut. If you're doing the duct tape, I would not cut until we're done wrapping it, okay? So those are the two caveats there, you guys. So if you're covering with the duct tape, you're basically going to cut a piece of duct tape or rip it, and we're gonna wrap our tube. And duct tape is cool because it's kind of like the perfect width. Two wraps and you've got the perfect width of the cardboard tube. I love it when materials work out that way. I don't know if I cut enough here, so let's see. Oh, I didn't quite get enough, so let me wrap the end. Okay, now I am gonna go ahead and trim the ends off of this. So I'm gonna trim, like I said, about a 3/4 of an inch. If you want to measure it, you can. Now the reason I'm doing this is because we're using a hole punch, and a hole punch doesn't have a ton of depth here. So you're kind of limited on how far you can hole punch. If you use a long tube, it's just a little harder to get in there. Now I'm gonna show you a trick for getting some holes in the middle, but just know that's why I tend to cut it off a little bit. Okay, now before we start punching the holes, what we want to do is we want to cut a little piece off the bottom so that when our balls do fall through, they actually spill out the bottom and we know that they are spilling. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim this like a triangle, okay? And what I did was I flattened it, and that way I get 2 cuts at one time. Okay, and it looks kind of like that. Just to make sure that my ball, like my beads will spill out, I can test it. And they will. So if your hole isn't big enough, your beads won't have any, they'll still be stuck inside. So you want to make sure that this hole is big enough. Okay, so the next step is we're going to start punching holes. Now, kids, if you are doing this, and you've duct taped it, what you're going to notice is that when you add duct tape, it adds a lot of thickness and it's a little harder to punch the holes. So you may want to get some adult help. And how I like to do this is I like to punch this if possible while flat, because then I get a hole that is straight across, right? You don't have to do this, but it just helps you get holes that are aligned. And so you're gonna have to use some elbow grease on this one. It's not the easiest to punch through 2 layers of cardboard and 2 layers of duct tape. The one made from just simply from the tube without the duct tape is a little easier in this part. But again, if you're having trouble, just ask a parent to help you or an older sibling. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna create a whole bunch of holes. Ooh, that is hard. You can also, if it's too hard, you can just do your best. You can just go through 1 layer like this. Okay. You can use these to your advantage and then use it to, like, you know, get your hole punch farther up into the center. But that's how you kind of get some of these center areas to be to have holes in them. So how am I going to get that piece? Let's do over here. And I'm going to do 1 more. And then we're going to start assembling our game. Okay, so I got a lot of holes in here. All right. All right, so now that we've got that, I'm going to set this piece aside for a minute, okay? And now we're going to take our paper straws, so grab a handful of them. If you've been following my blog for a while, you know that I like to use paper straws. Originally, when I did this 4 years ago, I used plastic straws. Okay, so gather your straws, and then we're just basically going to cut them in half. Okay, that's fairly easy. If you have recycled straws, you can go ahead and use those too. Then it becomes an ultimate upcycling project. All right, so now I have a number of straws cut, and I have my tube, and I am ready to assemble the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start feeding these through, okay? This is where it helps if you did flatten it, you'll be able to have you'll see that, and flatten and punch it, you'll see that there's a hole directly across. If you didn't, you can definitely feed these at an angle. That's not a problem, okay? Like that one is not going across straight, it's going at an angle. It's no problem. It's kind of fun because some of them are going to be harder to remove than others, and that's part of the strategy. So let's see what we got. So we're going to try to fill this as much as we can. Oh, and if you discover like this, where I wish there was a hole here and there isn't, go ahead and punch one in. There's nothing preventing you from going back and modifying your game as you create it. Okay, and I look like I'm getting, maybe get a couple more in here. Maybe one at the bottom. There we go. And yeah, I got a lot of straws in here now. Okay, I don't know how much room I'm gonna have for the beads. All right, so the last step is that you're gonna take your handful of your beads and you're gonna fill your game. Now, some of them may fall out the bottom. That's okay. I would just take, fill as many as you can here, and then, oh, there's a lot actually taking out of the bottom of mine. That means I might want to put in, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put in one extra straw. If too many spill out, see if you can put in an extra, stick across here to make it just a little bit harder. Looks like I am gonna need maybe another hole if I don't have one. Oh, I'm pretty tight in here. I'm gonna do one extra hole here. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go across. I had a lot going in one direction and not preventing things from falling, so let's see if that helps. Okay. We got that. We're going to add our beads again. Okay, a few spilled out, but not too many. And then we're going to start our gameplay. So you can play this a couple different ways. You can play it with, if you and a sibling make one of these, you guys can kind of work on your own game and see who is left, like how many straws versus how many beads you have spilling out. Or you could play together with one, and like you do the traditional Kerplunk, where you're going to start removing each of the straws, and as you do that, some of the beads will fall out. That one kind of fell out before. So as you remove a straw, take your beads, those are yours, right? If you're player 1. If you're player 2 now, you would remove your straw, okay? And you're left with 2 beads. And then you continue playing this way, and the person at the end, ooh, player 1, I think player 1's gonna lose, with the fewest beads is the winner. So player 2 had an advantage in this one, I think. And player 1, let's see if you can, I'm playing myself obviously as both players, but that's okay. Okay, and lastly, if I'm player 2, I'm gonna be not wanting to disturb these beads if I can't, oh, didn't work. All right, so that's how you play it. So in this case, the first player would have released this many beads, and the second player would have released that many beads. And so this player, player 2, would be the winner. And you can keep playing this as long as you want. I know most of us are not going on road trips anymore this summer, now that we've got, you know, the health, the pandemic is continuing on. But if you are on a road trip or safely going on a road trip, this could be something you could take along. It's so tiny. You might just want to think about bringing along some type of lid so that your beads don't go spilling everywhere. Okay, let me flip this back around. Okay, that's it. It was a simple one today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed recreating this classic game. I think it's a fun one, and I always, like I said, when we go on road trips, I do like to take a lot of games. Not that we always get to all of them, but it's nice to have something if you're ever in a pinch. And I hope you enjoyed making this version of your own game. I will be back on Thursday. We're gonna make slime. I'm very excited about this. I know it's kind of a highly requested project in most of my classes. and camp, although I'm not doing either right now, but I thought it would be fun to do it with you guys. It's one of my favorites. So if you are going to join us for that on Thursday, be sure that you have some glue and some either contact lens solution or Stay Flow, which is a liquid starch. There's a lot of action in my neighborhood right now. All right, you guys, have fun, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye, guys.